All right, another section done. And in this section, we talked about the technical interviews and how to solve problems specifically. One big misconception is that you're either a good problem solver or you aren't. But as with anything, it's a muscle that you can train, that you can practice. So with enough practice and knowing the tips and tricks that we covered in this section, you can solve problems a lot better. That shows the interviewer you know what you're talking about. The key in this section was this cheat sheet and the step-by-step walkthrough of a problem. We looked at how a Google interview might look like, and then we mimicked some of the techniques used there to solve our own problem. The idea was to show how you work. Think out loud and try to comment the steps as you go along to solve a problem. Communicating throughout the process as much as possible and not worrying about finishing a problem fast is the key to interviewing and solving problems in an interview. Now, we should have also gotten the idea that we don't want to memorize problems. Because if you do 100 problems and try to memorize them, well, it won't really help you long term. But you're also taking a gamble, right? You're hoping the interviewer asks you a question that you've seen before. Instead, we want to take control of our destiny and practice and be ready for anything by building the fundamentals. We talked about how by using the Big O and the lessons we learned here, we can now move on to data structures and algorithms and use them during our code interviews. We also talked about some of the skills that interviewers are looking for and demonstrated how it wasn't necessarily just coding skills. There's a lot of other aspects that interviewers are looking for. And we covered these items and how to show them during our practice interview question. Finally, we're now ready to dive into the exciting part of data structures and algorithms. We have a nice foundation, and we know that all we need is to learn these data structures and algorithms to really be interview ready. And we're also going to be using the cheat sheet that I gave you in this section throughout the rest of the course. And at the foundation of this cheat sheet is the idea of readability of code, space complexity of code, and time complexity of code. And although we didn't cover everything in the cheat sheet, we have a few items here at the end. You'll see that as we go through the data structure and algorithm questions, certain type of patterns will emerge that although questions may be different in an interview, usually the way to optimize things or tricks to make your answers better can be narrowed down to specific steps. So don't get overwhelmed. There's an easy, clear checklist and heuristics that we're going to go over later on. But by this point, I think we're ready to move on to data structures and algorithms. How do we write good code, create good programs, create value for the companies that we're interviewing for? See you in the next section. Bye-bye.